This podcast is brought to you by lillybadcock.com and the Confidence Academy, giving you the confidence to be who you truly are. This is the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lilli Badcock and I am a transformational confidence coach, and I'm here with a message for you. The anxiety and overwhelm you've been experiencing is not something to be feared or avoided. It's also not something that gets to define who you are as a person. No matter who you are, no matter what your story is, I know that you get to live a life of fulfillment and joy. It's my absolute pleasure to bring this podcast series to you in collaboration with some phenomenal people from all over the world who have walked the same path as you. Together, we will share our stories, our challenges, and our triumphs, with the intention of helping you to see that it's possible for you too. Anxiety may be something you live with, but it doesn't get to define who you are or how you live your life. So stand by for some powerful conversations, deep realizations, and the occasional F-bomb. So get those headphones in if you're around sensitive ears, and stand by. This is going to be fun.
Hey, what's up everyone? Listen, does anyone else think that we need a collective name for the fans of this show? Like Lady Gaga has Little Monsters, Ed Sheeran has Cheerios. If you think we need a collective name, get in touch and let me know what you think it should be. Anyway, on with today's show, and this week I'm bringing you the amazing and inspirational Karen Fasulo, who is a certified coach for parents of children with autism. This was an amazing conversation for me because at the time of recording it, I was actually halfway through the process of having our own son Louis assessed, and it's not an easy ride. It was so comforting to hear Karen's story and her tips for navigating the often challenging path of parenting a child with autism. Beyond that, I feel like the conversation also spoke to how to take care of ourselves no matter what our challenges may be. So if you've been having a bit of a time of it lately, I really hope this episode will bring you comfort and peace in the knowledge you are never alone. As always, I'd love to hear your comments and questions around this topic, so please reach out using the links in the show notes, and don't forget to join me live on Thursday at 8 p.m, where Karen will be my guest and will be taking your questions. Also, just before I go, I'm so excited to announce that I've reopened the Confidence Academy podcast Facebook group, so I hope that you'll join us in there. But for now, sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the Confidence Academy podcast with Lilli Badcock. And today I am welcoming Karen Fasulo all the way from Toronto, Canada. And it sounds funny that I say all the way from Canada because I'm making it sound like you've come here. But let's just be clear that you're still in Canada and I'm still in the UK. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. And I have to tell you, everybody listening, Karen looks beautiful, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning where you are right now. Is that right?
That is correct.
She's putting me to shame. There's a reason this is an audio podcast, because I look horrendous, and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning here where I am. But Karen, I'm so thrilled to have you on. And just to let everybody know what it is you do, you're a certified coach to parents of children with autism. And this could not be more perfect. And I don't know how many of my listeners are aware of this because I don't know how many people follow me on social. I talk about it a lot over there, but our 9-year-old Louis is just in the throes of being possibly diagnosed with autism. And it's already been a really long journey. It started when he was about 3. And I noticed straight away, I was like, there's definitely something about Louis. This is just what I kept saying. And, and everyone was like, oh no, it's just a kid thing. And my husband was just like, he's absolutely fine. There's not a problem. Why are you like, my husband's like, well, you think everyone's got something because I talk about anxiety. He was like, everyone's got something as far as you're concerned. And I was like, nah, there's definitely something. And then as he's got older, we've noticed more and more of the red flags are being shown up. And we are literally tearing our hair out right now because it's so stressful to live with someone who has a condition that's not understood, and it's not a definite thing either. We've been told it will be 2 years possibly before we can even get that diagnosis, and then you can't get any of the support because he isn't diagnosed. So I mean, my God, I know all about the anxiety and stress that can arise from raising a child that potentially has autism, or I think even if it's not autism, anything like that. It's so hard to find the support, to find other people that are going through it. So this couldn't be more perfect, and I'm thrilled to have you on. Let me just start by inviting you to tell everyone exactly what it is you do and how you came to do it as well.
Okay, well, thank you. So my story is very similar to yours. My oldest daughter, who is now 19, when she was about the same age, 9 and 10 years old, it was evident, right? So, and for years before that, I'd been told the same thing. You're overthinking it. Give her some time. She'll outgrow it. All the little stages, like the milestones she wasn't quite making, but then eventually did make it. So as a parent, all of your intuition, all of those gut feelings that you have about your child, you're being told for years by the professionals that you're wrong, that maybe you're overthinking, to question yourself. And then when you're like, no, this is definitely, there is something there. And the process to go through the assessment is stressful. It takes a lot out of you as a parent. And also for the kid, because the child, they're going through lots of different emotions as well. They're the ones that are actually in it and don't understand and are misunderstood a lot. And then so there's all of that. And usually there's bullying that goes along with it. There's sadness for the child. You want to help them so much. So there's so much stress and pain that comes along with parenting a child. And there's no support out there for parents. I found that when my daughter was finally diagnosed at the age of 11, I didn't want to accept it. I had gone through so much, and I wasn't expecting the autism diagnosis. So I was okay with learning disabilities. I was okay with anxiety. I was okay with all of that because there was workarounds for all of that.
Right.
There's support, there's knowledge, everybody knows about it. Everybody understands how to get through that. But there's really autism. There's no medication. There's no fixing. It's permanent. So that took a whole new level of fear into me as a parent, because how am I going to do this? Is my child now going to be bullied for the rest of her life? I was told she wouldn't be able to get a job. She wouldn't be able to go to college. So all of these dreams and aspirations that you have for your child when they're born, you're told in 1 hour that forget it. It's not going to happen. So for me personally, in my journey, that was a hard part. I didn't know how to handle it. And there was no support for me as a mom out there. Jordan right away was able to get into programs and assessments and support groups that were sort of there for her. But for me, it was like, no, there's nothing for you. And I was able to reach out to other parents in the community, which they were good and bad, right? Because there's different ways that people deal with it. So who are you going to associate with is who's around you. So if you're with the people who are really stuck and really negative and not knowing how to go through this, then that's where you are. And I didn't want to be like that. Naturally, that's not who I am. I'm a solution finder. And so I really wanted to, almost like a fixer, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because I just wanted to fix her. I wanted to make it all better. I wanted to make her what they class as normal, so be able to get into social situations and really push through. That was my therapy, right? And it wasn't for her, it was for me, because if I made her better, then everything would be okay. And that didn't really work out very well.
No, I think that's definitely been I'm the same as you. I'm a fixer too. I think I was lucky because my mum is qualified. She was a teacher before she retired, and she specialized in working with children that had learning disabilities, and lots of those children had autism, Asperger's, and all those, those things that come under that umbrella. And when I was a singing teacher, I used to teach autistic children. So I had a lot of knowledge, well, not a lot of knowledge, but probably more than most people first coming into it. And I think that's why I was able to see the initial signs, you know, those red flags. But it was really difficult to then convey that to my husband, because he was just like, you're seeing something that isn't there, there's nothing wrong with him, like, and you know, and he was never like a heavy case either. It was always quite mild to begin with, and it's only been this year that we've really seen it escalate. And I think some of that is his age. His teacher at school said that when they get into year 4, you know, around the age of 8 or 9, the hormones, something plays up, and then they just lose their shit and it all goes nuts. And then also the fact that we were in a global pandemic and there was lockdown, and that has really affected him. And, you know, for the first time, my husband started to see it, and he was like, oh my God, what's the matter with him? And I was like, I've been trying to tell you. But you're so right. And it's that you just want it to go away, because you want your child. We all want this. We want it for ourselves as well. We don't want to go through life and have to deal with anything that's hard. Like, we don't want the challenges. We don't want to feel sad. We don't want to be challenged. We don't want to have that. We think we want just this, you know, linear, smooth ride. But of course, we also know that that isn't what life is like. And we all have our challenges, whether it's autism or something else. You're going to have something to deal with. And I literally had a revelation, I think it was yesterday morning, because I woke up just feeling a bit heavy with it all, like you do. And, you know, I was just like, oh, this is so hard. And I don't know how to help my son. He's not sleeping at the moment, which means he stays awake until sometimes 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because he can't settle. Then he's tired in the morning. So then he's irritable, and then he can't concentrate at school, and then he falls out with his friends, and it just snowballs along. And I woke up yesterday just feeling the heaviness of that. I'm really feeling like, you know, sad that it wasn't the path I'd seen. You know, when, like, I saw a photo of him even a year ago, and I was looking at the photo thinking, that's not who I see before me anymore. Like, it's a different child. And I could really feel that feeling of, it's almost grief, isn't it? Grief for what you thought you were going to have. And I feel like lots of parents will relate to that, because, like, if you find out your child is dealing with anything, whether it's anxiety or autism, or, you know, if your child is born Down syndrome and you weren't expecting it, like anything like that, you're going to go through that process of what you thought was going to be the case versus what is the case. Exactly. And I've learned to really tap in and find inner guidance when that happens. And so yesterday, when I woke up with that heavy feeling, I just thought, I'm just going to sit with this a minute. And the message that came through was so profound. And I actually wrote it as a blog on my social media. But like, in a nutshell, it was that the path you've been given was always going to be yours. So there is nothing to mourn, because the thing that you thought was for you was never going to be for you. It was never meant to be that way, right? Like, and it really comforted me to think that. And I think, you know, it's not about glossing over the situation, and it's not about going, oh, it's all going to be fine. It's really not. It's frigging hard sometimes, like impossibly hard. But I think it feels harder if you're constantly telling yourself this isn't how it's meant to be. Exactly. You know, that's an internal battle you're never going to win, because it just isn't that way. And the quicker you can just accept it, it's that acceptance, isn't it? Yeah. The quicker you can just accept it and be like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Now, how do I move forward? You know, there's a brilliant song in the film Frozen 2. I don't know if you've seen that yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where she I just love it. And she sings a song called The Next Right Thing. And it's just about heaviness, whether that's, you know, anxiety or anything else. Don't worry about all the things that should have happened or could have happened or that you should have done or whatever. What's the next thing you can do now in this moment now? What's the next right thing? And, you know, I love that song. If you haven't watched the film, go and watch it for sure.
It gives me goosebumps.
It gives me so many goosebumps. And actually, to know that Kristen Bell, I watched the documentary on Disney Plus, and Kristen Bell shared that that song was written after a conversation she had with the songwriters about her own struggle with depression. Exactly. And she told them that that was the best advice she was given. It was, you know, just ask yourself, what's the next right thing to do now? Don't worry about the 20 steps that you think you have to take, or what it's going to look like in 10 years time, or, you know, or what you could have done 5 years ago. What can you do right now? And I just like, it just made the song even more poignant for me.
Definitely.
So, oh my God, I have so many questions for you. So I would love to know, like, given that conversation that we've just had about that acceptance, I would love to know what your take is on it. You know, how have you learned, and have you learned to really own this as your path? I mean, obviously you have, because now you're helping other people.
Yes.
So this is what has set you on your path. So I would love to hear you speak on that a little bit.
Yes. So that is the key. And for me, it took about 2 years in our journey of battling back and forth, of me trying to really make my daughter feel better, right? Because that's naturally what you want to do. But what I was actually doing was making her feel worse. And I have a little story that really ties all this in about how to accept it. So it was just before her 13th birthday, and she wanted to invite her classmates to a party, which I totally celebrated, because for all those years before, birthday parties she was afraid of them. She didn't like them. Too many people, too much anxiety. And she really didn't connect with the kids in her class. So there really wasn't anybody who came. So it was really a sore point. So the fact that she wanted to call and invite her friends to her birthday party, I was like over the moon. And so what we were told was that, you know, role playing is a good strategy for learning social skills. So I was like, this is a great opportunity to do our role playing exercise. So we wrote a script, and I was like, listen, I'll go in the other room. You call me on my cell phone and we'll practice, so that when you call your friends, you won't make a mistake. So she's like, whatever. So she wrote this script. We practiced. I went in the other room, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And so finally she calls me, and I'm like, hello. Right. And so she's like, this is stupid, Mom. I know how to talk on the phone. And I was like, oh, you know, like, I'm trying to help you here, right? Like, so I go storming in. I'm like, what is the matter? Like, I'm trying to help you be normal so that people will listen to you. And she yells back at me even louder. And she was like, I am me. What is wrong with that? Why can't you accept that? And just stormed off. And I was like, oh my gosh, my heart just sank, because all this stuff that I was trying to do, trying to help her, it didn't matter, because all she wanted to do was for me to accept her for who she was. And Wayne Dyer says that people cannot be heard until they cannot hear until they feel that they've been heard. And that's a lot of the times the battle that happens, especially in this situation. And I know it was for me. I wanted her to hear that if she listened to me, I would help her be okay. I would help her feel better. You know, it doesn't matter about who claims normalcy or not. There's no really definition of that as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
I just wanted her to feel better, because I would wipe her tears. I would wipe her, you know, help her with her anxiety, and just, I wanted her not to feel pain. And so this was my way of trying to do that. And that wasn't what she needed from me. She needed me to accept her and understand her for who she is. And I was so grateful that she had enough courage to scream that in my face. And sure enough, I left the house, and she was there, and my dad listened to her call all of her friends on the phone, and it was perfectly fine. And she actually had more people come than what normally ever came to her party. So it was a huge success all around. And once I really got over myself and got over my agenda on all of this, and went right down and just said, okay, what do you need? And she was able then to say, okay, this is what I think I need. You know, this is the next step. Exactly the same thing. Only with her being 13, I allowed her to lead that process. So I was involved, but I was like, what do you need? Do you need to have like time now to decompress? Do you need to be able to go to your room. So her iPad screen time is limited, but that's her decompression time. We know this now, so I don't
Right.
fight with her on it.
Mm.
She was able to start learning what she needed to advocate for herself, which is huge.
Mm.
And it was huge in her journey throughout the rest of school. And now she's at college. She's opened up her world. And it's the same thing as probably what your son is like. She's very high functioning. She doesn't look, and it was funny, we were having a conversation the other day, and she was like, she goes, "You know what? I hate it when people say to me, you don't look autistic."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, can you not see like the wave patterns going on in my brain and how I'm processing things? Like it's a neurological thing. It's not a physical thing.
Yeah.
So, but now she can like relate to that. Whereas before that used to really upset her. She didn't understand what that meant. So
I
accepting
think that's
is a
I think
huge
that's
thing.
powerful. Yeah, so powerful. And on that topic of what does it look like, I've got to say though, I've looked at some of the websites and they choose like the most severe cases for all of the photos. So I can understand why people would think it has a look, because somebody can be very severely autistic and also disabled in many other ways, and they will look a certain way or act a certain way. But for so many people, I mean, there must be thousands of adults
There is,
that are undiagnosed.
yeah.
The more that I've learned about it, like when they're saying, oh, well, Louis does this and Louis does that, and that's an autistic tendency, I'm just thinking, but that's me. Like, he's just got that from me. Like, and then I'm like, maybe I'm autistic. Wait a minute. Like, no one's ever tested me. It wasn't a thing. Like when I was a kid, it just wasn't a thing. Certainly not a mainstream thing or anything that schools were really prepared for. We're very lucky because our school is so understanding and so inclusive. And of all children, not just the ones with autism, but of all kinds of things. And it's funny because when we were looking for a school for Louis, I wanted that one because I remember the head teacher telling us then that she doesn't believe in segregation. She doesn't believe in putting some children over here and some children over there. She said all of our children learn together. All of our children are treated the same. And so like in Louis's class, when Louis needs to have time away from the class one-to-one, he sees other children getting that as well. So he doesn't feel like he's the only one. He doesn't feel like he's particularly different. And I love that. But I know that that's not the case in a lot of places. And I think, that realization, for her to have come to that realization that I am me, and that's beautiful and you need to deal with it. I love that. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, what a smack in the face to have that, but what a brilliant, amazing, that must have been like equally, you must have been equally proud and equally like devastated for yourself at the same time. Like, oh my God, what have I done? And oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And
Definitely.
I think that's so powerful. And, and that's really, I feel that's what's needed more, and not just for autistic children,
No,
because you
all
know
kids.
what, all children are going to have their little things that just make them them. And I think, you've really touched on something that I think all of us have grown up with, which is parents that have just desperately tried to stuff us into a
Yeah.
box and stuff us into a path. Like my parents desperately wanted me to go to uni. They would have loved for me to be a teacher, because that's what they both are. But they weren't very strict on that, but they were very, very much like, well, you're going to uni though, of course. And I was like, no, don't think I am actually. I'm pretty much, I'm done with this. Like, I'm ready
Yeah.
to earn myself some money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really didn't know, like, if I had felt compelled to learn anything in particular, I absolutely would have gone to uni. Like if I'd known that I definitely wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, where there was a clear path set out, then for sure, I'm sure I would have chosen uni. But I just didn't have that. And I understand why now, but I didn't understand why then. And they were just so like, oh my God, like, this is just a terrible thing. She's not going to go to uni. She'll just like live in a dumpster or something. And do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we've
Oh, totally.
all been brought up. And it's always from a place of, well, it's not always, but I think for the lucky ones, it's from a place of love. The parents are always just wanting the best. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
they've struggled in their life, inevitably. They don't want that for their kids. And so we try very hard to stuff them into this line. And I really believe that now is a time where that paradigm is shifting, because we as parents, like our generation, is actually breaking free from a lot of those labels and a lot of those pathways, and we're the ones standing up and going, actually, you know, that isn't what I want to do, that isn't for me, and that's okay. And you know, we are really healing generations and generations and generations of this conditioning. And I also think that we get gifted with what we need along our path, and our children are just one of those magical things. They are, as everything is, they're going to be mirrors for us. Like, they are going to show us what we need to learn, and we're going to learn it quick, you know. There's and they don't pull any punches, as you found out, you know, they'll just hand it to you. I know there are going to be a lot of people listening who are in the same boat that you were in, or maybe in the boat that you are in, or any variation of that, because I've recently joined a couple of groups online, and I'm absolutely going to be telling everybody in there that we've had this conversation. So if there are people listening, like, reach out and let me know that you're listening. If you're here specifically for the autism thing, we would love to hear from you. And we'd love to have that conversation. Don't forget, there's a Facebook group you can join. For mine, it's called Wake Up, Rise Up. We also have some links for Karen as well, which we're going to put in the show notes. So Karen, tell us more about what your role is now. So what have you stepped into, and how do you specifically help the parents of these autistic children?
So thank you. So the main thing that I to help the parents, so similar to yourself, is I do one-on-one coaching to help them through these initial hurdles, or when they're stuck. So a lot of the times, what I learned for me is that when I was able to be okay with me as a parent and accept where exactly everything that we've talked about, accept that my vision for what my child was going to be is now different, accept my child for who they are, and accept that my parenting doesn't have to change, that I still am who I am as a parent, and my child will be okay. Because when I was okay, my daughter was okay, and I have two other daughters as well. So I mean, we all were better. So that's where I really help parents to get to that stage.
Knock knock, it's me. I just wanted to interrupt this episode briefly to let you know about an amazing gift I've created for you called the Mindset Reset Workshop. This is an hour-long workshop where I share all of my best tips and tricks for cultivating a strong mindset, so that no matter what life throws at you, you can move forward with confidence and purpose. We have one life, and I'm absolutely certain that we're not supposed to spend it battling anxiety, fear, and frustration. I've learned how to let go of those things, and now I want to help you do the same. So grab your free copy by clicking the link in the show notes below. And for now, I'll let you get back to the episode.
I have a program which will be in the links called Breaking Through the Eye Rolls. And what it is it's just a simple program. It's where it's based on problem solving. So it takes a problem and it teaches solution-based thinking. So it helps to chunk down whatever the problem may be. It doesn't have to be a big problem, and it's encouraged to start with small problems and just retrain your brain into the thinking about how to solve that problem. So similar, what's the next step I need to take? And it really gives the confidence back to parents, because we go through a battle with all of this. We go through, so it's the teachers that maybe don't understand or don't believe, they don't know how to help your child. It's your friends and family who think that, oh, your kids are acting out because you're a bad parent. You need to get a handle on.
That one is so true.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
The looks in the grocery store when your kid is having a meltdown, because and seriously, grocery stores are huge. The big fluorescent lights are so oversensitizing. The buzz, can like drive them crazy. Little things that normally we wouldn't understand. And the other thing too is that usually kids on the spectrum are very highly sensitive to energies, and they pick up on energies. And if there is a stressful situation, you know, your kid is going to be stressed and have a hard time in really pushing through. So what I do is I help those parents understand those situations and really give them a place to come where they don't have anywhere else to go, where I've been through it. I've walked those steps. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I'm not a doctor. I'm a parent.
Right.
And
yeah.
that's
And
what
you
I
need
offer.
both. You need both. Like
do.
we need the doctors, but actually the doctors are not that accessible. That you don't even know what to ask for. And you know, the spectrum is so huge as well.
Yeah.
It's not like autism is, it's not like a cold where you know that with a cold you get a runny nose, a sore throat and a headache, and if you take paracetamol you're going to be better, done. Like autism is so many like nuances and colors and sides, and even in an hour period with the same autistic child you can get 100 different versions of that person.
Yes.
So I love that. I love the name as well, breaking through the eye rolls. I just love that. And it's so interesting what you said about the supermarket, because I never thought about that, and I always wondered why my kids went nuts when I try and take them shopping. And to be honest, I try and avoid it now with all three of them. Because the two boys, just, it's like something flips a switch. They just go nuts. It's like I don't even know who they are. And then we get out of the shop and I'm like, dudes, like, what was that? Like, give me a clue. Like, you know, what are you doing? But I think the important thing to say, and I think the thing that you're doing that's so important, is you are giving these parents their power back. You're giving them the permission to be who they are too. Because it's so easy to think like, oh my God, I failed as a parent. And even though I know about mindset and I know how sneaky, crappy thoughts can creep in, and I know how to catch them. And even though I know that, I have days where I literally sit there and go, I am the worst parent in the world. I've failed massively. Like, what did I do that created this? Like, where did I go wrong? And I think, do you know what? The thing on being a parent, and this is going out to all parents, whether or not you have an autistic child or not, I think there's no handbook, right? And you find out that you're going to have this baby, and you find out you're going to become a parent, and immediately, in fact, probably even before that, you're getting ideas about what you will and won't do and how you will and won't act. And my God, like there's no one more self-righteous than a person that hasn't had their babies yet. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because I used to sit there and go, oh, well, my child won't have a screen. Like, my child won't have a phone. I would be in supermarkets. I'll be honest. I'll be in supermarkets and I would have seen a child having a meltdown with the parent ignoring it. And I would have been like, oh, what a terrible parent for ignoring that child. Or I would see a parent not ignoring the child and screaming at them, and I'd be like, oh, what a terrible parent for screaming at that child. I mean, we can be judgy shits when we want to be. And I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm owning it for myself, because I know I've done that. And like now, because I just understand the way the world works a bit more now. I've been here a bit longer and whatever. Like, whenever I realize that I'm that parent, just a little part of my brain is like, no, it's just probably a little bit of karma coming back. Do you know what I mean? Like, from that time that you thought you knew better, or that time that you thought you could have done a better job, like, now what you're doing. But you know, we have these massive ideas and these plans, because the truth is we don't know what it's like to be a parent until we are one. We don't know what that looks like. You can read the books, you can watch the shows, you can listen to all your friends. Not one piece of that is going to help you, because your journey is yours, and it just is not the same for anyone else. And I think that's what we then battle with, because it's such an unknown territory. We ourselves are constantly trying to feel safe. Like, this is what we forget as well. We are constantly just trying to feel okay, and we're constantly trying to feel safe. So we are, you know, we're desperately going, okay, I need a plan. And if you're anything like me, and this is what I mean, like, maybe it's a bit of autism on my side, but I need a plan. I need to know what's coming. I don't like spontaneity a lot of the time. you know, even surprise parties stress me out. They really stress me out because like all I see is a room full of liars, like people that lied to me. Like you're my closest friends and family and you've lied to my face. Like I've never felt more alone. Do you know what I mean? Like surprise parties, like they don't work. Like if anyone's thinking of doing one, don't. It's stressful for me.
Yeah.
But you know, we're just trying to find our way. And we're constantly going, right, I need to know what's coming. I need to know what to prepare for. So we cobble this kind of plan together from what we can.
Yeah.
And then, of course, life delivers us what it delivers us. And it looks nothing like that. I mean, you know, the first time I was asked to write a birth plan, I thought it was the most beautiful thing. And then by the time I had my third child, I was just like, you may as well put a massive question mark on the page or like a big middle finger. Because like whatever I write, you're not going to do it. Like it's not going to happen like that. And I think that's also true for life. You know, you can have your life plan, you can write your 5-year goal, it can look all pretty and whatever. The chances are it's not going to look anything like that, but I will say what you get is it gets to be a million times better than anything you could ever foresee.
Exactly.
And I think this is the magic, isn't it? It's expect it to be brilliant, expect it to be beautiful. Like to the parents listening who are feeling challenged right now for whatever reason, you know, again, this isn't glossing over it, but in the moments when you can, just expect it to be a beautiful journey. Like own that as your path and just just decide that it's happened for a purpose, for a reason, for your child and for you, right? We're all on these bumpy paths. None of us are going to get to bypass the pitfalls and the highs and the lows. Like we're all going through it. We get forged by fire. This is how we become who we are. And it's the most important thing is to know that you're going to be okay, that you are okay, that you're beautiful as you are. It's really, you know, I say these things to my son and he just rolls his eyes at me and is like, whatever, mum. But I'm like, I believe that message is going in. And the more I can try and, you know, let him know, like it's okay to feel what you're feeling, it's okay to do that. You know, when he's doing things that aren't okay, I will never tell him that he's wrong for doing that. Instead, I will try, and I say try because I don't always manage it, I'm still a human and I will lose my shit at times, but in the moments when I can, I will be able to step back and say, I understand that you're feeling X, Y, and Z. I understand that it's overwhelming, and I understand had to do blah blah blah, whatever it may be, but I'm letting you know there's a better way to deal with it. So my son sadly has decided to not decided, but he's picked up bad language, and now it's almost like a Tourette's thing. The more of a meltdown he's having, or the more unhappy he is, the more aggressive his language is. And that is something that's awful, because when he does that in front of other people, you feel the shame. Like you just feel like, oh my God, as a parent, I failed. He's picked up this language. But, you know, instead of saying to him, you mustn't say those words, now I just say to him, I get that you're expressing yourself. Like that is really not the best use of words you could be choosing, though, because you won't be heard. If you use that language at school, or if you use that language out in public, then, you know, people aren't going to really hear what you better way to express it. But you know, the bottom line is, I swear like a trooper. I've got a mouth like a toilet, and even though I try really hard to keep it under wraps, he's gonna hear it at times, because I'm a human being. And you know, and it happens, my husband jokes and says that, you know, it's the worst time is when I'm in the kitchen cooking, because I always hurt myself. I'm always burning my hand, or like, you know, and I'm always like, shit, bollocks, like, you know, I've always done something. But it's, you know, okay, so I'll try not to do that. But at the same time, it's not about saying to him, you mustn't use those words. I'm like, the words are just words. They're just not socially acceptable words, and you're not going to get the help you need if you use them, you know? I see as well that there's a free download people can get.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So it's a resource tool that's got 5 tips that you can do as a parent in the moment to really help to have your child respond back to you, because we get into this back and forth, and you know, in battle where it's like, you need to do this, and there at times, like, I mean, I have teenagers. They just tune you right out. Breaking through the eye rolls came exactly from my 15-year-old when I was talking about this and thinking, well, what do you think that I should name it? She literally rolled her eyes at me and went, I don't know, Mom, and walked away. I went, thank you. That's it. Yeah. Breaking through the eye rolls, you know? You know, because that's just what happens. And so it's 5 tips on how to do that. So, and it goes into basically what you need to do. Of course, the number one thing that you need to do whenever you're in these confrontations with your child, or whenever you're feeling that, is of course breathing, belly breaths. And I'm sure any of your listeners that are knows about anxiety understands the importance of belly breaths. And, you know, this is something that we talk about in our household as well. You know, deep, slow breath into the belly for a count of 4, hold for 2, release, and do that, you know, 4 times. And all of a sudden, things look differently. It's a beautiful reset. And you know, and it goes through 5 different ones. Mind your words. Beautiful book. The 4 agreements. So that's referenced in there. Your words are important. So how you talk is key, right? So how you want people to respond back to you is how you talk to them. And it goes into the importance of laughter. You know, having to, even in stressful times, you need to find that balance where you can laugh with your kids. It's not always going to be that. And sometimes, and really, especially right now, where everybody is locked down, everybody is stressed, people are not reacting the same way. There's so much uncertainty. There's not a lot of laughter. And there needs to be times where you find that happening within you and making that happen. And when you start laughing with your kids again, relationships get better. So, and then there's a couple more in there as well. So go and get my free download. And there's lots of references in there for you just to, in that moment, be able to start making a change.
Amazing. Just on that subject of laughter, I have to say, like, so much to say around that. So yesterday morning, I was getting my kids in the car for school. As always, we were running late because my 9-year-old never wants to get his uniform on. And he's having a really hard time at school at the moment. So every day he's distressed and he's screaming and crying because he doesn't want to go. So we were running late as usual. And so I got them in the car and we started driving. And yesterday morning, because I'd woken up with that, you know, I shared earlier, I'd woken up with that feeling of challenge. And then I sort of sat with myself and got that download of, this is your path, embrace it. Like, don't fight it. Stop mourning the life that you thought was for you and instead embrace the one that is yours, because it's beautiful and it gets to be magical. And because I'd had that download, I was feeling a bit lighter. I wasn't feeling so heavy. So I was just feeling a bit silly, which is my default setting, I think. Apart from anxiety, like silliness is my other default setting. And I got them in the car, and I don't know what reminded me of it, but I used to play a game with my friend Nunu, where we would play Say What You See. And we would just yell out what we could see, but we would do it out of the car windows, because it's then funny for people. So like, we'd see a man walking down the road and we'd be like, man walking down road, and he'd like jump, and we'd find that hilarious. So for some reason I started playing Say What You See, and I started yelling just everything I could see in a really stupid voice. And like, the 2 in the back were laughing, Freddie and Sophia, just thought it was hilarious. But I noticed that Louis, who had been really wound up and stressed, started to smirk. And then the more I did it, he started to giggle, and then he was hiding his face because he didn't want me to see that he was finding it funny. So I really ran with that. And by the time we got to school, he was barely laughing out loud. We were all laughing. We were completely late for school. And, you know, normally I'd be so stressed out. I'd be thinking, oh my God, what must the teachers think? Like, every parent must wonder, like, oh, she's always the one who's late. Do you know what I mean? You have all of that. And for yesterday, I just decided to let that go. And I was like, we're late. We're already late. We may as well just have fun with it. And so, you know, so we did. And he got to school, and even though there was a little bit of resistance getting out of the car, I didn't have the normal screaming fit that I got, and I didn't have to lift him out physically, which is what I have to do most days, you know. And that's not going to work every day. He's not always going to feel like laughing, but it was really important what you said about it coming from us first, you know. and that's not to put pressure on anybody, but it's to say that it's okay to put yourself first as well. It's okay to find your own peace. And yeah, you absolutely have to, and to find your own joy and to find your own set point, because your kids are still learning from you, even the autistic ones, even the ones that feel completely
especially
unreachable. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
they, you said it yourself, they pick up energy.
Yeah.
And that's not to stress anybody out, but it's just to say that for anyone who's feeling like, oh my God, I'm so wound up, I don't know how to take a breath, you can prioritize that. They're going to lose their shit anyway. So let them lose it for a moment longer and just find a moment to breathe. Find a moment to re-pivot the situation, right? Instead of going, oh, this is so stressful. Oh, I'm being judged. Oh, I'm a terrible parent. Instead, be like, what can I control right now? Like, I couldn't control being late yesterday. It was already a thing, but I could decide whether it was a stressful journey or a funny one. So we went for fun, and again, this morning, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of these moments, but sometimes it's just about choosing your battles, isn't it?
Exactly.
And, this morning, my son never wants to eat breakfast. And this morning we were running late again. It's a normal thing for us. And, the middle son, Freddie, was hungry. He was like, Mum, I want food. Well, yesterday he'd rejected what I'd made him. We were running out of time. And I looked around and he'd picked up this bag of giant Wotsits that I'd bought for later. So they're like Cheetos. They're these big cheesy crisps. And he was like, Mum, can I have these? And I was like, sure, why not? You're not going to have giant Wotsits for breakfast every day. But today, that's what my children have for breakfast. And I was like, do you know what? Screw it. It is what it is. And they all got out the car with big cheesy grins, like they had cheesy smiles. And, I proudly announced to the teachers, they've had Wotsits for breakfast. Sometimes it's apples and sometimes it's berries and healthy things and porridge. And today it was Wotsits, and that's okay. Sometimes you've just got to say, it's all right. It makes my life a little bit easier. Look for the ways to make your life easier is what I would definitely share.
Definitely.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, I could talk to you forever. I literally could. I do want to say as well to anybody listening who maybe doesn't resonate with the autistic thing, everything that Karen has shared works for anxiety, regardless of where the anxiety is coming from, right? That moment to take a breath, the moment to find your joy, like it's all relevant. So even if you don't have a teenager or a child that's challenging, or any child at all, if you struggle to reset your thoughts and to get that peace center back, then download that 5 steps guide. And, I think it's going to help you anyway. I'm sure it will.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, it's amazing. Just finally, I would just love to know, was there a moment where the balance tipped? Like, have you, like, and I don't know how spiritual you are as a person or how you see your life plan out, but I'd love to just touch on that a little bit. Has there been a moment where you've really had this sense of, oh, this is what I'm here for? Like, I understand this is my path now. I would love to know if that's happened for you.
Well, it's funny you say that, because it's been coming for quite some time. It took me a long time to really accept it. It's a theme. Because before this, I owned my own retail bakery. And I owned and operated that for 5 years. And one of the exercises that I needed to do during an online course was to reach out to 10 people and ask them what they see as my strongest quality. So I did that thinking entrepreneur, boss, cake decorator, like all this stuff. And I swear 8 out of 10 came back with being a mother, an amazing mother. Oh. And I was offended by that. To be honest, at that time, I was, because I was like, oh, well, I'm just a mom, right? But I was a single mom. I had 3 kids. I was running a business. My oldest was just getting diagnosed with autism. Like, there was a lot going on. But I was like, no, I'm an entrepreneur. So that's where it really started. And then it was probably about 2 years ago when I was first introduced to John Maxwell, I'm a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And that completely was life-changing for me. Reading the 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth actually is the first book that gave me permission to think about me. And that's where it was like, okay, you know what? That meant something all those years back when people see that. And it's not just once, but that's always been people. And then people would come to me and ask me for parenting advice, like my friends. And I was having drinks with a really good girlfriend of mine. And she shared with me that she goes, you know, Karen, she says, whenever I have like a big parenting decision to make, I say to myself, well, what would Karen do? And she was like, it's just something that you are able to you're an inspiration and you need to get that out there. And that's when it was like, you know what? I do. I really do. It was a download the same as you. I was in a meditation and the audible voice was so loud. I woke up to see and looked around to see who was in the room, who just said, you need to tell Jordan's story.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm covered in goosebumps.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's so true as well, what you've shared, because I think all of us go through this. And it comes from this place of control. It comes from this place of, I need to know what my life looks like. I need to know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. And so we think, right, I'm doing this. And then because we've committed to that, sometimes years, and all the resources and the money and the time and all of that, then we feel pulled this other way. We fight against it. And it is frustrating. It's so funny because a big part of my purpose is my singing. It's my voice. But like you, over the last sort of few years, when I've been, you know, telling people what I do or sharing people what I do, you know, I do a lot of things. I'm not just a singer. I do a lot of things. So when people make such a big deal about the fact that I sing, I'm almost offended, like that's all they see. It's like, no, but I can also be really inspiring and I can build confidence and I can do these things and blah, blah, blah. What I didn't realize at the time and what I know now is we are souls in a human vessel, and our soul has one purpose. It just has one mission. One, it's simple. The human we have dropped into has multiple ways to bring that to life. And you can be on purpose, whether you're decorating a cake, parenting your child, chatting to a mum in the playground, doing your grocery shopping, like whatever. You are always on the cusp of delivering your purpose. And the minute that you accept what that purpose is, and the minute you can see that there are so many ways you get to bring that to people, you stop needing to be defined by any of those one things.
Exactly.
And you stop going, oh, but I'm more than this, I'm more than that, because actually it's just a universal thing. You know that. But it becomes about the mission. And I realized that actually I know my mission is to wake people up to their true purpose, but I know that I can do that whether I'm coaching, whether I'm singing, whether I'm teaching them to sing, if I'm speaking on my podcast, like even if I'm pushing Sophia on the swings in the park, right? I have that ability because that's who I am. And I love that you shared that, because I think there'll be a lot of people listening who are maybe in that place right now where they're feeling frustrated. They're feeling like they're banging their head up against a brick wall because everything they're trying isn't working. Well, guess what? If it isn't working, there's a better path. Like, you've just got to let go of what you think it's supposed to be. You know, it's powerful. I love that. I love that you shared that. And, you know, you are an amazing parent, but I so see your soul purpose shining through that. And all those other things that you said you are still who you are as well. Because now you, of course, you're an entrepreneur because you're doing that in this guise, you know, it gets to mold and change. So yeah, powerful stuff. Love it. Well, Karen, thank you so much. Couldn't have been more perfectly timed from my point. Like, screw anyone else listening. Like, for me, this is just perfect. I don't mean it. I love you all. I love you all. But you know what I mean? I said to Karen before we went live that I feel like this podcast is for me first, and then it gets to benefit everyone else. But, you know, this is how it works. Like, serve yourself first. What do you need? What do you need to do? I needed to start this podcast. I needed to have these conversations. What do you need right now? That's a question you can all be asking yourselves. What do I need right now, and how can I get it? I love that. Karen, final word from you. What do you want to say to the people that have been listening, and maybe especially to those that are on this journey with an autistic child?
So something that I always say to the people that I'm talking to, which they don't usually get told quite a bit, you are enough, and be kind to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so simple, but so powerful.
Yeah.
And if you woke up every morning and I'm enough and I get to be kind to myself every morning, it would shift your day 100%. It's just having that permission to be able to do that and just carry that with you. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. As I said, we're going to be putting, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's been amazing. We're going to put all of your links into the show notes. So for everyone listening, if you want to connect with Karen, you can do that using the links. You can sign up for the freebie that she mentioned. You can sign up for the eye rolling course. I'm definitely going to be checking that one out. I think every parent needs that. I mean, every parent has to break through the eye rolls. Like, do you do one for husbands as well? Because he eye rolls a hell of a lot as well.
It's universal.
Brilliant. Yeah, okay. Disapproving parents, kids, friends that don't get it.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, get yourself signed up. I love that. So we will put the links in the show notes. And like I said, come and join us in the Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up, and carry the conversation on over there. I've also today set up a new community. Oh God, I can't even remember the name of it. I'll put the link in the show notes as well, but there's a brand new place that you can leave comments on these episodes. So make sure that you check that out as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast and give us a rating on iTunes if you haven't already, because that helps us to get in front of more ears. Can we get in front of ears? Yes, I think we can. That's what we want to do. Awesome stuff. Karen, thank you so much again. And to everyone listening, remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. I'm going to be back again soon with another exciting episode.
And that's a wrap. My thanks once again to Karen Fasulo for her energy and wisdom, and to you, the listeners, for being here with me each week. I'd love to know what you thought of this episode, as I always do, so do please reach out with your questions and comments using the links in the show notes. I'm going to be back next week with another incredible guest, and of course I'll be live on Thursday over on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram for TCA Live, where Karen will be joining me for a live Q&A, so get your questions in and join us if you can. And if you love the podcast and would like more support as you step into that life you've been dreaming of, then why not join me in the Confidence Academy podcast Facebook group? The link is in the show notes, along with everything else we mentioned in the episode. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, whatever you're doing, and look after yourselves. Massive love.